What is going on, everybody? All my Beatsourcers, what is happening? Welcome to the 20 Podcast, bringing you interviews with the best DJs, producers, and music industry professionals from around the globe. I'm your host, DJ Spider. Yes. All right. How you guys doing? How's your weekend? How's your life? What's happening? Thank you for listening to my voice and listening to me talk to you about DJ-related things. It means a lot to me. I love doing this with you guys, you know? If there was no one listening, then I'd be talking to nobody. So thank you. I appreciate it. And you know what else I appreciate? Beatsource. Because this podcast is brought to you by Beatsource. So make sure you try out Beatsource link, where you can DJ from the cloud. You can use our expertly curated playlists made by amazing DJs and producers, which, hint, hint, might be the guest on today's show. We'll see. We'll see if that's true or not. I mean, it might be. Beatsource link is incredible. I use it, and you should too. So go check out beatsource.com and have the best time of your life going through these songs, baby. You guys, what else is going on? My Beatsourcers, I hope life is good. I know I've been doing a lot of crazy things, a lot of crazy gigs, and you guys have been following me on Instagram, which I really appreciate. I get your messages. Write me on there at DJ Spider, DJ SPIDER. No, there's no Y in my name. Everybody always wants to put a Y in my name, but take that shit out. It doesn't exist. So that's what's up. Thank you guys for all the support, all the messages, and thank you for coming out to my shows. You know, I've been in Vegas. I'm there every week right now, but usually every month, and in LA and all over the place. So thank you guys for the support. Really appreciate it. Hit me with any questions, comments, concerns, customer service items, HR reports, whatever you want to hit me with. I'm here to receive it. All right, let's get on with it. Let's get on with the show, okay? Because we have a great guest. We have someone that I admire, someone that I think is super dope, someone that is constantly innovating, evolving, doing dope shit, man. So let me tell you about them. We got a DJ, a producer, someone that is part of the Beatsource family. See, I sent you that hint earlier. He is a UK champion of Red Bull Freestyle, the amazing competition that sadly I don't think happens anymore, but some of the most amazing DJs that have won that have come out and are killing it across the world. And he is one of those people. He's a worldwide touring DJ. He's a curator. He's a music editor, a radio host, a producer, and more. He definitely has a very unique set of accomplishments, and you will hear that in this interview, okay? And he's got a lot more things in the works, planned out, that you will hear about in this interview. And although he lives in London, that's right, we got the UK to LA connection on this episode, and he lives in London, but he has a fan base that spans Europe, Africa, the Caribbean, North America, and more, all through his remixes, mixtapes, and live shows, and not to mention social media. It's been huge for him. He's done so many cool things, like his 50 Days of Blends campaign that he did on TikTok and Instagram, which gained him, amazing followers from all over the globe, linked him up with artists that he now works with, that are doing huge things. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. You will hear about it on this episode. His approach to anything he does, from my perspective, includes amazing attention to detail, using only the highest quality sounds and highest quality everything within it, working with world-class artists. And I feel like once he sets his sights on something, he makes it happen in the biggest way possible, and you will hear that throughout this episode. There is so much stuff that I think we can all learn from hearing his stories and his journey on here. He also curates the African music sections of Beatsource and DJcity. Thank you. That helps me a lot. Makes incredible edits, produces original music. He has a show, like a live show with a live band that he just did a performance, and he's going to be doing so much more with. He does so much. This episode, you will hear about all of it. So please, welcome to the show, DJames. All right. We are here, guys. It is the 20 Podcast, and in the house today, all the way from the UK to LA, we got DJames. Give it up.
What's up, bro?
That's right.
Blood
Owl. Thank you, Snoop. Thank you. We're back with the sound effects, guys. We got DJames in the house. Make some noise again. Let's hear it. Thank you. I just like having these buttons at my disposal.
I can tell.
Thank you for being here. I like buttons. We're DJs. That's what we do. We like pushing things.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
So thank you for sure. Thank you for taking the time. I know it is late. It's nighttime there. It is daytime here for people that are watching on YouTube. And yeah, thanks for coming in here. How are you feeling? How was your day today? What's going on?
I'm good, man. My day was same as most days. Spend it in this room, basically. I got this studio last year, and I've just been living in here a lot. We have no windows, so I have no concept of time anyway. So it's cool. It's
I mean, that's most studios. That's the advantage of studios, right? You don't want to know what time it is. Like when the sun is coming up, but you're making a dope beat, you don't want to be like, oh, the sun's coming up. So,
yeah, exactly. You just get locked in. But yeah, man, all good over here.
Locked. That's great. Well, yeah, thank you for coming on the show. I am, a huge fan of everything you do, everything you've been putting out, all your projects. And, we talked for a bit yesterday, and, I admire a lot of things about you as a person and musically. And, some things I was saying was just that you always have your own angle. You always have your own approach to things. And I know you come from three-style kind of DJing, and you've gone through so many evolutions of where you are to get, where you are today. But now you're so deep in the Afrobeats scene, and you still have a different approach there, and you're still constantly evolving there, from doing your 50 days of blends to your live band now and all that stuff. So I want to learn about your approach, what you're working on, what you got for the future, and learn about how you got to this point. So before we get into it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, DJames?
Damn. First of all, yeah, thank you for all the praise. Appreciate it, man. I'm a very big fan of yours too. So
thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like you say, I've been through a lot of evolutions, and a lot of that just comes from boredom a lot of the time. Like it's probably one of my worst habits is I do something, I'm like, yeah, this is dope, get really excited, go all in, do it, and then I'm like, what's next? And I'm just always looking for the next thing. So yeah, I've been DJing since 2006. Started out in university, just doing campus parties and stuff. It was pretty much just whatever music I had to play. Back then I was supporting whatever artist the university had booked. It was so random. One week it'd be Feeder, the next week it'd be Bass Hunter, then it'd be a UK rapper, then it'd be Pendulum. Like it was all over, but it was good for me to learn, how to work with all these different kind of crowds and people. And then, yeah, I think maybe around like 2013, 2014, I got into the more like three-style type stuff, started getting obsessed with that. And then I think we went out to Poland, a few of us, I think that was 2016, and we were like, yeah, we have to enter this, and that just became life basically until I entered the competition in 2019. And then then lockdown hit, and I kind of had to reevaluate everything again, and luckily that's what worked out pretty well, and that's where I am now. So that's like the speed version of the last 15 years, I guess.
Right. Yes, the speedy 15-year recap.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I think that's a good starting point. And I think when I met you in person, was it at the Beatsource kickoff event?
Yeah, it was.
Right. So I think that was January, right before the pandemic, or the year before. I'm like trying to remember. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm pretty sure it was the same trip when I was out there for Halloween, actually. So it must have been around October, November time. We had that party because I came out to LA for a couple of weeks.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, we had like the Beatsource football tournament, and we had that event, and I went to like the Boo Over with Four Color Zach playing and stuff. So yeah, it was all around that time. But yeah, I remember being at that party, and I was talking to Quickie and some other guys down by the pool. Then I heard Afrobeats coming from the house, and I was just like, yo, 1 second. I just like ran up the stairs and I was like, what's going on? I had to go in and check it out. I was like, it's made it. I was so excited.
Yes. Yeah, no, so dope. Like I had just been in New York that week listening to DJ MoMA and Ellie Escobar at that dance party at LeBain, and they were playing all these Afro beats, you know, so much like stuff I didn't even know about, and I had kind of stayed up all night after going to that party and looked up so much music. And then when I was DJing that party and I'm opening up before a track and I'm thinking, what can I do that's different? You know, and I remember playing all that stuff and you're like, how do you know about all this? And I'm like, I kind of do, but I'm not as knowledgeable as you or, you know, some other people, the people I heard playing it. But it was cool to connect with you on that. And then just to see your journey and evolution from that and where you've taken it is so incredible. And
Thank you.
It's like, it's crazy how the pandemic played into a lot of people's solidifying what they wanted to do, you know, for the future in certain ways.
Yeah, I think for me it was like a lot of what I was doing was like money focused and stuff, because obviously we're DJs, we have to make money going to the clubs, and
right,
and you don't always necessarily get to play your favorite music for 4 hours every night. So lockdown came, and no longer had this financial pressure. And I was like, right, what do I want to do? What do I want to be known for? So I started DJames Radio, which I basically just converted my living room into a studio. I bought a giant white screen, got my decks, bought a Shure mic, and did the whole show. And it was Afrobeats, dancehall, soca, reggae, and I just did like all new music every week, never repeated a song. And I made this 1 hour show, chopped up all the clips, sent it out to the artists. It was taking me about 3 full days a week to do that 1 hour show. But what came from that was, it was so worth it because I was building connections with all these artists and labels, producers, because it was lockdown and these guys have made club records that they had planned out for 6 months, a year. And now there's no clubs and no DJs to play them. So here's me giving them this like shiny video from some guy in the UK. So back in Nigeria or Jamaica, wherever they are, they're like, yo, I've blown, I'm international now. So it worked out really well that I could provide this product that no one else is doing for them. And it gave them a little bit of hype for their campaign. And that's where it all started from, really. Just those relationships grew, and they embraced me, fortunately. So it's been good ever since.
Very cool. Very cool. And your videos are always top quality. Like, you know, I think when people are just doing the iPhone film themselves thing, you always take it to the next level, have a dope scene, got some plants in there, you know, had like real deal cameras filming you.
That's the industry plant. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, the industry plant. I love that.
That's why it's there.
That's hilarious. So exactly, your industry plan has taken you this far. I mean, that's so cool. Why was it taking you 3 to 4 days to make the 1 hour mix? What were you doing?
Well, because I had to dig for all the audio. So from Friday to Sunday, I'd be getting all the music, I'd be hitting up artists, and then I'd have to make all the clean edits myself because there were no cleans around for these songs yet. Then I'd have to spend like a few hours researching, and that information wasn't always hard to come by. So I was trying to find out the artist, the record label, the producer, anyone that was involved, basically, so I could tag them, because I was like, I might not be able to reach Fireboy or Burna Boy, but I can maybe reach the producer, and then he'll share the video and then they'll see it. So it was like just building up. So I started out getting support from smaller artists and the producers that maybe weren't getting the love, so they were very happy to have a video where they got shouted out. And so I did all that, and then obviously the show itself took an hour of filming, and then I had to sit and edit. But chopping up all those video clips and sending them out and everything, it was like a day of prep, a day of shooting and stuff, and then another day of editing, chopping it up, uploading it to all my socials and all that stuff. So once the world reopened, I couldn't really maintain it, unfortunately. I'd love to do it, like I miss doing it, but it's just not possible right now to lose almost half my week to that show.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but I think you've evolved in a different way, where you came up with the 50 days of blends and all the different things you do now, you know, and then that has pushed you into the realm of music production and your live band and all the things that you're headed towards in the future and that you're working on right now.
Yeah, for sure. The 50 days of blends thing again just came about from me just being bored and having all these blends sitting around, and I started seeing other people doing similar stuff to me. So I always thought like, how can I make this bigger? How can I make this a series? And the sort of first 10 or 12 days, it was just like single videos. People would just sort of maybe catch one or two, but then after a while they started realizing, oh, there's gonna be a video every day, and they were coming back to my page, and they just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then I started having some huge industry names share them, not just on their stories, but they do like a full main page post, and they have 10, 12 million followers. So like, remember one day, wow, Don Jazzy shared one of my videos and I got like 25,000 followers in one day. My phone like just overheated. It was on my pillow next to my bed and it was just constantly just going like bzzz, like it didn't stop. I just had to like, I couldn't stop it. It was mad. So
wow.
Yeah, that's the power of social media. So
it is.
Yeah.
That's so cool though, especially how it can just connect everybody from all over the world, and something that you're passionate about, you want to put work into, and that you're approaching from a genuine perspective, and stuff that they're just making and not knowing who's going to hear it. So a cool way to connect you guys and reach out to the artists. And I mean, and that's kind of an ambitious project, 50 days of blends. Like obviously, I mean, I would assume you did some. You weren't doing the new one every single morning.
I was doing them every single morning. Yeah,
what?
that's yeah, insane. That's the maddest part, because I was trying to do it with trending songs as well. So I had to like, so when something dropped on a Friday, I had to do it that day. So there were, and I remember like with Ballon d'Or, the Wizkid and Burner track, I knew that was coming out at like 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. So I had my routine ready to go, and my routine was out before Wizkid had even posted about the song himself. So people were like learning about that song through me before Wiz had even posted. So a lot of that stuff is timing, and yeah, there's definitely a strategy behind it. Like, I'd post certain songs with certain artists on certain days. Like I knew I had to get the big song on a Friday, then maybe Sunday could be a more chilled one. And but I was recording them every day. That was the hardest part, having to get up and get fully dressed in my house. And I wore 50 different outfits, so I ran out of clothes. By like 45th day, I was on my phone looking at my wardrobe, like, have I worn this one yet? Like going through, trying to like match outfits up. Yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was mad.
Damn, you should have been sponsored by like a clothing company.
Honestly.
The 50 outfits of DJames. That's incredible. My God, I would have definitely just gotten lazy with the shirts and just worn the same one. Probably.
Yeah.
I've done that with this podcast. I'm like, I think I've worn this shirt before, but whoever remembered. What are they going to go find shirt. Episode 75? Thank you. That's incredible. Wow. But that's so cool to hear that it's not also just, hey, I'm going to make 50 days of blends. I'm going to make them in advance. I'm going to put them up. There's strategy to it. You're truly thinking about every little thing, from what types, the vibe of the song, when it's released, who the artist is, the day of the week. Mm-hmm. And then if a song comes out and starts trending that you had never even heard of, you're going to change your whole plan and use that. Yeah,
and even down to like what you can blend with what. So like I know that, right. I can't necessarily put this artist vocals on this artist instrumental because they're not going to share that. Like, so yeah, it's having like knowledge of who's cool with who. And it's a difficult thing, the blend thing as well, because obviously not every artist likes it, because if they're trying to push their song out, and obviously like TikTok sounds and stuff are so big right now, you can imagine for them it's kind of like confusing the message a little bit if your mashup of their song somehow does better than the original or something. So you have to be quite tactful with it and make sure that you're like not necessarily improving the song, but doing something different with it at least. Like there's no point in me just taking a Wizkid vocal and putting it on another Wizkid beat that sounds pretty much the same. I need to change the vibe of it, or change the energy or the genre or something to make it a blend.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Were there any other strategic points that you had to keep in mind?
I think it was just like post timing and knowing like what days were stronger for me than others and things like that. It was just things I learned along the way, basically. And with social media, there's so many variables. It's really hard to know what did what. Like I don't want to get into this stuff where I'm like, okay, I need to post at 5:55 on a Tuesday and do this capture. Like, I don't believe in that stuff. Like,
right.
Sometimes I just feel like there's a bit of luck involved, and it depends who's online, and people's lives are different. Obviously, in lockdown, everyone was sat on their phones, so I had this like captive audience who were looking for that kind of content, and it definitely wasn't as saturated back then in the scene in terms of people doing the blends videos and stuff. So I kind of had that space to myself. So that was another reason for doing the 50 days of blends and just like doubling down on it and just being like, yeah, I'm the guy for this kind of thing. And yeah, the whole thing culminated in a mixtape, which we did a deal with Apple Music for through one of the distros I work with in Nigeria, Mad Solutions. So that was like one of the first official DJ mixes they put out on the platform. And I feel really sorry for the person that had to clear it, because they had to go through and in the 50 blends, there was something like 110 songs used.
Oh my God.
And they have to go through and clear all of those and do the track list and the timestamps and everything. So they're used to getting mixes of 40 minutes, which is just 20 songs, original songs. And then they see my track list come through, and I bet the person was just like, this guy. So I'm sorry to have had to do that.
Wow. That's crazy. That's so dope, though, that it got released officially through Apple Music. And it's cool to see the streaming services, sort of actually doing things legally. And I mean, of course, we're sponsored by Beatsource, and you're a curator for Beatsource, and that's a huge part of their, selling point and why they're here and DJing from the cloud and, doing it officially. So it's cool to see the streaming services be on board with that kind of thing and let you legally put a mix out. What were some of I guess on both sides, did you get any negative feedback from any of the artists, or what were some amazing positive things that came out of it that you never would have thought of?
Well, negative, I mean, no one ever went out of their way to say anything bad, like the artist. They maybe just wouldn't, do a main page post for it if they weren't feeling it or whatever. But no, it was mostly positive. There might be a few fans that were just like, "You've ruined the song." I was like, "Okay, the song still exists. Just go listen to the original." Like, I've not deleted it or replaced it. Like, it's still there.
That's a given. But I mean, more like you were saying, where like if an artist was upset, you used their blend, instrumental on the blend or something. No,
I didn't have any of that. Like I say, I was very careful. And then the positive side, obviously, it led to like sparking conversations. With all these people. That's one thing that I've always been really conscious of throughout my whole career, is like, you've got to add value in whatever situation you're in. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to walk in a room and blurt out my CV and then say, "Oh yeah, can you do this and this for me?" I'm always going to try and provide something first, and then, try and build a relationship that way. So off the back of this, like, the best kind of feedback that I had with artists would hear themselves on a different beat they never would normally think to try, and they'd hit me like, "Yo, I need you to produce a beat for me like this. Like, I want to try a song like this now." So I've had big artists who are just like, "How did you think to put this on this beat?" or whatever. So, and it's led to me producing for them. So that's probably the biggest thing that's coming from it.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, that's huge. Because I mean, I think, they're in a certain mindset, and as DJs, we're in a different mindset of just taking things that work for some weird reason that probably shouldn't, but because I play a lot of the blends that you made, when I'm DJing, and it's cool to hear them like over even different types of genres. And because a lot of times, like Afrobeats, some of the instrumentals can sound similar after a while, so when you're putting it over, like you'd put it over a hip-hop track or Big Energy or something like that, it was like such a change. Yeah,
for sure. That's how, like, I'd say my biggest edit that I've ever done in terms of how much it was used. And I don't even know how many people even know that I really made it, but I did this one of Idonia for the jockey over Thotiana when it first came out. And I did that because I was DJing in the West End, and I'd basically been told that I wasn't allowed to play any dancehall or Afrobeats. So I was like, how can I get it into my set? So I basically just started taking whatever the hottest hip-hop instrumentals and throwing acapellas over them. So I did that one, and it just started going crazy. I had no idea. Like a friend of mine was in Trinidad and he heard it playing, and then I get sent a video for some like crazy street party in Paris, and there's like 10,000 people going mad. And then I saw like Major Lazer were playing it. I was listening to Annie Mac doing she had a guest mix on Major Lazer once, and they played one of the edits on there, and it's like, this is crazy. Like, and it's one of those, it's always the one you don't think. Like I made that just for myself. And I think I put it on my SoundCloud, and then all these ones where I'm like, this is the one. It's never the one. Like it's never ever the one that you think. It's something like that where it's gone crazy. And to this day in London now, like I can't go to an event without hearing that version. They'll play it over the original Blueface version, which is crazy.
Wow, that's so dope. And when you say like, well, I guess two things. Like, can you explain what the West End is to other people? In terms of DJing in London? Yeah, it's the bottle service clubs basically. So, there's a lot of all the spenders in there. The music policy is very much dictated by whoever's there on the night. You just have to be ready for anything. You play everything from hip hop that just came out 5 minutes ago to like the song from Frozen to Maroon 5. Like you never know. Like I swear some of the shows are crazy, and yeah, you just have to be prepared for anything. You have to have a lot of like recovery songs to try and get the crowd back every time, because sometimes you might be doing like 30 or 40 shows in 1 hour or 2 hours, and every single time you've got to try and get the room back on side. So yeah, with those, that's such a challenge. Yeah, there's only so many songs that are like, because you get a lot of tourists and stuff as well. There's only so many songs you can play in these places where everyone's going to know them. That sweet spot of like, it's still cool for the cool kids, and then the commercial crowd are starting to get to know it. And so like, I really just focus on trying to have more different ways of playing those songs rather than trying to add more songs into my set for the sake of it. So I think that's where all the edits kind of came from. Right. And how come, what's the deal with the don't play Afrobeats thing? Is it like certain reasons, or they just don't think people are feeling it, or it's not that style, or what's... Yeah, why? I think, it's just a case of like what they think their clients want. And it goes through phases. When I first moved to London, it was very much house led, and it started changing into hip hop. And like one of the clubs I went to for the first time, when I first started looking at the West End stuff, they play house from 11 till 1, and then at 1 o'clock they'd do like a parade, and then it'd just be a hard cut, and it'd just be hip hop for the rest of the night. And it was just like it just too like it wasn't open format in the sense like it was jumping back and forth or anything. It was literally just like two different nights cut down the middle. It was so strange to me. And then the house stuff got phased out, and it became more hip hop and open format, and now it's like a lot more reggaeton, Valley funk, Afro, a little bit of dancehall. It's just a melting pot basically. Right. But for some reason they weren't a massive fan of Afro. But now there's like a huge Nigerian presence in the clubs, and all the bottle shows are generally Afrobeats. So it's huge now. It's unavoidable. Really? But I was just a couple of years too early, unfortunately. So that was the problem. Yeah, well, that makes sense, especially coming from you. You're a futuristic, forward-thinking person, Sure. And so when you say the bottle shows, like you're saying when they present, if somebody buys like 20 bottles of champagne, it'll be like an Afrobeat song. Would they bring it out to? Yeah. So that's crazy. Yeah, that's becoming more and more normal now. Like which is great. Obviously, before that's crazy. Like which ones? Like Afro B, or like the ones everybody knows, or what are like the top bottle service ones? No, because generally the big spenders will be up on the new stuff. So like I was out this Sunday. The big one right now is Burna Boy City Boys, which is the one that has the birthday sex sample. So I must have had that like 9 times in 2 hours, because these guys were just doing show after show. You got Casey Piano is another big one. It's like this Madame Appiano song that blew up earlier in the summer. There's a few. Yeah, they don't tend to be the older ones. It's generally like the new hits, because they also want to flex their music knowledge a little bit as well, as much as being like, we're spending. They also want to like test the DJ, like, yo, do you know about this hot new song from Nigeria kind of thing. So I love it. Right. I'm ready. Like, throw it at me. I'm
I love it. So
Oh yeah, you're like, I'm more than ready. You're
let's
like, I have an edit that's gonna like
Yeah.
blow your mind of this song.
Yeah, I try.
That's really cool. And so, you know, going into like, so I know you come from DJing 3-style and doing those bottle service clubs, and you have the skills, obviously, to do any of that stuff. But like you said, which I think is such an important thing to keep in mind for all DJs, and something that is hard to do, especially when we're out in the world, is if you take money out of the equation, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? What do you want to represent? What do you want to add to the world? And what value do you want to add to the world besides I'm making money and I'm able to pay for things? And I think that's why some of the best DJs started, was we didn't even think about money. We just did it for fun. You know, like we're like getting chills off like 2 songs going together, or learning how to do a scratch or whatever it was. And, you know, I think that that's just an important thing that people should keep in mind, is like take money out of the equation. And so, you know, you don't do as much of those clubs now, right? In the West End and stuff like that. You've really put yourself into the Afro scene, and that's your main focus.
Yeah. But even when I was, like, I always knew it wasn't going to be my end game. So like the advice that I have for my friends and stuff now, I'm not saying I know everything, but there's definitely some like general lessons that I can take from what I've done in the last few years. I think like even if you have to do this stuff where you're going to clubs you don't necessarily want to play and the money might not be what you want, it's still better than the alternative of going and getting another job, like, you know, working in retail or something. So I think the best way to do it, you know, so that you enjoy it more and you obviously can get out of there quicker, is you got to have a plan, you got to have a goal, and you've got to work towards it. I think a lot of people don't really know necessarily what they want to do. They just know they want more. They just know they want to be doing bigger shows, more money, but they don't necessarily know what genre they want to be known for. They don't know what their show looks like. And you must, I don't know about you, but I feel like when I was 20, 21, I was rubbish, but I thought I knew everything. And as I've got older, I've got better at DJing, and I realized that I know less and less as I get older, basically. And now at the point where I feel like I'm entering this new phase of being like a producer DJ and trying to be like get artist bookings at festivals and those kind of stuff. And I feel like I'm right at the bottom of the next ladder, and I haven't got a clue what I'm doing in terms of that kind of world. But as far as the resident stuff, I just think, yeah, if you earn all that money week in, week out from a job that you know, there's going to be parts of it you enjoy still. I think as long as you know where that money's going, you can invest it in yourself, whether it's marketing a record you're going to put out, whether it's putting on your own events. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with going and doing events cheap or for free, even if they're on brand, to build your name up, and then you do your other club gigs on the side, you know, just to make the steady cash.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I've learned from all this.
No, that's words of a wise man. You know, like the more you realize that we all know nothing, you know, and that new things are exciting, and that being at the bottom rung of the ladder in a new situation is actually insanely exciting. And it can feel overwhelming and like, oh God, how could I ever get up there? But how did you do it before? You know, you have to remember that you've done it in other situations. And so to be in that point is good. And also I think that's the thing that's always pushed us ahead, is curiosity. And that's what gets us to take these songs and listen to these songs and discover more about the genres that we're interested in, the artists, the producers, and all that stuff, is the curiosity and the not knowing, you know. So if you did know everything, it would just be boring. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And so you're like, you know, always doing some ambitious project by wearing 50 different shirts and 50 different blends. And then now you have just done something that was taking up your entire life for the past couple months. Was you created a live show with a live band that is performing your blends that you've created. Can you give us some more background and some more insight on that and what the plans are going forward for that? And also how the show was. I know you just did the show like a week ago, right? So
So
tell us all about that.
Sure. Again, it was a little bit of boredom, a little bit of me just wanting to give myself a new challenge. And now that I'm more into the production side, I want to do stuff that's more musically involved rather than just standing there mixing 2 records together. And I did the last set of blends. We ended up with the mixtape, which was cool and did really well. But I thought I can't just do the same thing again. Every time you do something, people get slightly less interested each time, even if it's dope. It's like, so I want to keep coming with fresh stuff. So I thought it was about time I do a live show. I seem to have a decent enough following. I work with some really good musicians here. Guitar, bass, sax, keys. I have everything. So I said to the guys, like, who's up for doing a live show? And it was really good fun. I learned a lot. I've learned a lot musically as well, just being around these guys, and they're having their little nerdy music jokes. I'm starting to understand more and more stuff about theory. So I'm not as left out these days, but I wanted to just make my show bigger than me just stood here. Like, I'm not a crazy, like, on the mic kind of person all night. I'm not going to be running around the stage screaming. I'm not going to be doing dancing like an Amapiano DJ. So I thought, how do I make my show festival ready? So the plan is to have a big production, big bands, dancers, everything. And for me, just to almost be like an MD, but still be the focal point. I wish I could sing. That'd make everything way easier, but I can't. So unfortunately, I'm basically just using the artist vocals to be the front, the front of the show. I think what makes it interesting and fun for the audience as well, I'm sure like attention spans of club goers are getting shorter and shorter now. So if they go and see one of these band shows and they're performing the full 4.5 minutes of a song with an outro and all this stuff, and then it's sort of coming to an end, and then they're performing the next one, you don't get that same momentum that you would if a DJ was just like playing all these hits back to back. So I kind of want to fuse the two things together. So not only are we fusing, we're playing like one song every minute, but it's not just one song, it's one song on top of another. But now it's not just one song on top of another. It's like I've taken the stems out, and I might just keep the drums and the vocal, and then my guitarist, like with Calm Down, for example, like we reimagined the song completely. We didn't play the same guitar riff that was in the original one. We switched it up completely, and it was a really fun project. And like I say, for the crowd, it keeps it really fast paced. I don't know what's coming next. For the band, they absolutely hate me because they had to learn 69 songs in 1 hour, and it was absolute hell for them. But it was great fun. It was a success, and the plan is to take it to Nigeria in December. We're just trying to work that out right now. So that'd be a dream if I can perform it over there with all the artists and stuff on the ground,
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
that's so dope. It's almost like, shout to J Period. He does that live mixtape thing, and he'll have Rakim rap over, Wu-Tang beats, or he'll do a live mixtape with different old school rap artists. And I think, it's completely different what you're doing, but in the same sense where you're saying you'd love to go to Nigeria and have them come out and perform, it's has some similarities. And I mean, that would be incredible. I know you'll do it. I know that will happen.
Yeah, I hope so.
I know December is like December is a huge month in Nigeria, right? For partying and everyone coming together.
Yeah, it's homecoming basically. So a lot of people in the diaspora come home for Christmas, and it's just 1 month of non-stop partying, events, concerts, everything. I stayed out there for 2 months last year, and it nearly killed me, but it was like one of the best times of my life. It was so hectic, but it was amazing. I loved it.
That's amazing. Why did it nearly kill you? Like what? I mean, tell us, what was that like? I mean, just
it's
the planning
intense.
of it, and then your entire trip, like how did how did that come about, and what was it like?
So I plan to go out there to work on music, but December's not exactly the best time because the labels shut down and A&Rs aren't really trying to work. The artists aren't necessarily in studio mode anymore. So I decided to stay through January as well. But December, I thought, let me see how many gigs I can get. So I got booked for New Year's Eve, and I got a booking on the 26th of November with Glenn Fiddick, because a lot of the stuff out there is run by like alcohol brands and stuff. So they'll do like a takeover at the club. They'll book the talent, and the club doesn't really pay the DJs or anything directly. So I did some work with them and Remy Martin. So I went out there with just those 2 gigs, like 6 weeks apart and nothing in between. But once I got on the ground and they heard me play the first time, they booked me for like a bunch more stuff. And then I got booked in Ghana, and then like things just snowballed so fast. And then, you know, some of the smaller artists who haven't got live shows and stuff yet, they did want to work because they're hungry to get music out there and stuff. So, you know, I'm in a new country, my bank card doesn't work, my phone doesn't work, I didn't know where I was staying. Like it was mad. So trying to balance all that, trying to do full-time producer in the day in a studio that I'm hiring isn't my own. And, you know, you've got the generators going down. So you're like in the middle of a recording, all of a sudden, like just a blackout in the studio, the audio cuts, and you have to wait for someone to go and fill it up again and restart. And it was just, I wouldn't change it for the world. It was a whole experience. Like it was the first few days I was definitely stressed because I'm very like meticulous in my planning, but I just had to realize there was so much out of my control at that point that I just had to embrace it for what it was. And I ended up doing like 15, 16 shows in December. Recorded like a whole bunch of music. It was great.
Oh, that's amazing. And I know that you ended up linking up with some of the artists that you made blends of and that you linked up over the pandemic with, right? And becoming like a tour DJ for some people and doing some stuff. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So Ashake, who's probably the fastest rising artist in Nigerian history. Like his breakout year was unbelievable. I think he had 6 number ones. Like every single song on his album was a smash. And yeah, he's winning every award. He's selling out arenas. Anyway, he had 3 shows in London back to back at the end of November, just after I'd flown out. And so I was in Nigeria, and he messaged me saying, "I'm in the UK. I need you to come run my show with me." And I was like, oh, I can't, like I'm already in Nigeria, like I can't come back. And he's like, all right, no problem. So I thought, oh man, that's my chance gone. Like I was so gutted because, like I say, his rise is crazy.
What are the chances?
Yeah, like
you're like, I'm in Nigeria.
Yeah, and you're back in London.
That's
like,
crazy.
So I was gutted. So I thought that was kind of my chance gone. But on, I think it was Boxing Day, I get a DM from him. He's like, "Yo, what's up, bro? What you doing tomorrow?" And I was like, "I'm just in Nigeria still." He said, "Okay, I'm going to fly you to Ghana. You're going to do my show." I was like, "Okay." I hadn't met him at this point. Had, you know, a little bit of contacts on the Insta DM and stuff, but I'd really, really supported his music heavy. Like I did these 90-second mini mixes of his album, and I mixed out the whole album. I've done that for both of them now.
Wow.
Did that, plus a load of blends went viral. Like the Sungba over Essence one did really well, and he saw all of that. And I love the fact that he reached out personally. He's just like, "I love what you do, and I want to basically just give you all of my acapellas, all of my instrumentals, and just do what you do on TikTok and Instagram with my show, basically." So obviously that was way different to me doing 30 seconds in my studio here and dance along to the lyrics and then, you know, done out. It's like, I flew out, met him at his apartment, and he gave me all the files, and he just stood over me, watching me program the entire show. So I'm there like trying mashups and like, but it ended up being like full on production. We had to stem stuff out. He's like, "I want the sax to be louder." So I had to like stem out the sax and isolate it and boost that. And then we had to stack the vocals because his thing is very much like a crowd vocal thing. Like a lot of his music is like choirs and like crazy stack. Shout out to Magic Sticks as well, his producer. I've seen those guys record, and it's mad. They record like 70 layers to make this stuff. Like, it's
like anthemic. It's just all sounds huge. That organized song, and like all his songs, you just feel like you're in the crowd when you play
it's amazing. So yeah, we stacked that up even more, like more vocals on top of vocals, and we just made it. So yeah, he basically just watched over me while I put the entire show together. And then he's like, "Yeah, cool, go to dinner, and then we're going to go to the show." But no rehearsal, no run through, no nothing. I just texted him the set list on WhatsApp. And then we just got there in front of 35,000 people. And I was like, "Okay, cool." So like while I was eating my dinner, I literally had my plate here and I was bouncing the stems in Ableton while I'm like eating like this. And I basically had to bounce each part of the set kind of at the tempo and then just mix it exactly as he knew it. I couldn't obviously deviate off that. But the hardest thing is he was like 100 meters away from me because I had one of those like T-shaped stages where he's like way down the front. So I literally couldn't make out his facial expressions. I couldn't see him. So I was just there DJing blind, never done a show before together. Luckily it was really smooth. And yeah, he was really happy. Then we did Nigeria together as well. A couple of weeks later. So yeah, that was crazy. And it's funny actually. I know something similar happened with Four Color Zach and The Dream, right? Where he was doing mixtapes and then he kind of got called to do it. And I always thought that was amazing. And I always thought it's one of those things that just doesn't happen. So for it to happen to me for those edits, like I really appreciated it. It's one of those things I just never thought I'd see. So it was dope. It just goes to show
that's incredible.
Yeah, if you just put the content out, like you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to be the one, like you said. I mean, you even told me that, probably the biggest Afrobeat song in America, I don't know about, or maybe the world, is that Rema Calm Down song, right? I would think. And you were telling me that wasn't even the song that they were thinking to push for the album. No,
apparently not. Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends at the label and they had their eye on a different song entirely, but it's just, you just never know. Like sometimes something it can be a TikTok trend. It picks up in a territory that you never imagined. Like I know he now has a crazy following in India.
Right.
He has a lot of like Indian sort of sound to his voice. His melodies and his like vocal texture and stuff actually does sound quite similar to them. So it's not like completely out of the question, but it's still crazy to see how that genre has blown up so much over there off the back of that song. And it's on billions of streams now. We're seeing stuff we've never seen before with Afrobeats. So it's a great time. And fortunately for me, it's like aligning with my sort of rise in the scene at the same time. So yeah, it's incredible.
Right. Oh, that's so cool. And then, so what about like, you spent 2 months in Nigeria. Like, I know you have a bunch of other crazy stories or funny stories. Like, what are some other memories you have or things that stand out or things you want to share with us from your time out there?
Oh, man. I swear, like, so much happened. I wish I kept a diary because, like, I sometimes just have flashbacks and, like, remember, like, whole weeks of things that happened, which is just crazy because it's just everything's just so different over there. Like, the infrastructure, like the roads and everything obviously isn't great, but then the nightclubs are incredible. They're like some of the best I've ever been to in the world because it's all privately owned. So yeah, there's from the sound, the lighting, the stages, everything incredible. Every club I went to, I had red carpet treatment. I was getting interviewed on the carpet on the way in, and I just wasn't used to it. It was so crazy. Then you walk back out on the street and you're back to seeing people begging on the street. Like it was mad. So yeah, culturally it was a lot to get used to. But yeah, there was so much. I remember one of the shows we did with Ashake actually was so funny. There was a Nigeria one, and afterwards it took us like 2 hours to get out of the car park because the car just got mobbed. Once they realized he'd got in it, that was it. And I was riding with him, and they were trying to clear the way. And everyone's running in the streets, like, Ashake, trying to get to him and stuff. They're like climbing on the roof of the car, trying to get him through the sunroof. They're like mobbing us. And eventually we got away and we got out onto this main road and we like were speeding like 30, 40 miles an hour, sort of get away. And we sort of like sigh, like, oh, we're out of it now. And then we just hear Ashake. And we're like, what? Where's that coming from? He wound the window down. There was a guy hanging onto the car like this, and he'd hung on the whole way. And he was like, I don't know. Yeah, he must have like have his foot on like a bike on like the rack or something. I don't know how, but he was hanging on to the car like this. And we were like, yo, like get down, you're gonna hurt yourself. Like, yeah. And it was mad. So he jumped off, then he just ran after the car. He chased us. Like, it was so funny. Like, I've got that picture of his face. Like, he was just like holding on for dear life on the side of this car. Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my God.
It's so much fun over there.
That's nuts. What about like, I don't even know if this is a thing, but I mean, what about just being like a white guy, in Africa, in Nigeria, I guess, and in the Afrobeat scene, like a white DJ, like, is that abnormal? Does anyone talk about that? Or is that just
For
like,
sure.
whatever, we're all in this? I mean, obviously you appreciate the culture. You like respect it. You're so genuine. You add value. Like you said, it's not like you're trying to appropriate anything, but, I don't know. I just wonder if that's something that
definitely
is ever discussed.
Yeah, I mean, like I have like a decent following over there now, so I was getting recognized every so often. Like, and I'd be in the supermarket and some guy like come up to me with my TikTok and be like, "Is this you?" But other days, people would just come and take a picture with me because I'm a white person. So like, and I never knew which it was going to be until they told me. So they come over and they'd be like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Are they about to say they listen to my mixtapes, or are they just like, can I just take a video of you?
Here?
Like, yeah, why are you here?" kind of thing. So, but yeah, it was great. Like, I wanted to go for so long. I just wanted to make sure that everything was in place, and I've got some really good friends that kind of make sure I was looked after from the minute I got there to the minute I left. And yeah, it's definitely a USP for me. Like, there's not many. I'm sure there are plenty of DJs doing it, but I don't think many people would take the plunge to go there for 2 months and live there and fully immerse themselves in the culture. And I think they really, really appreciate that. Like, I've seen a lot of relationships that I've had with people online, or even people that I'd met here over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. We see each other in person. It'd be very surface level. Once I made the effort to go over there, then it was like a brother thing. Like, you can really tell the difference. So yeah, I have.
Right.
I've had literally zero problems with that. Like, I've been embraced. Yeah, it's been great. But yeah, It's definitely a talking point. And definitely, like, everywhere you go, people are looking at you and wondering what you're doing, wondering why you're there and stuff. So,
right. Yeah, maybe a little skeptical at first, but then realize that you're there for the right reasons and just trying to be a part of the culture like everybody else.
But for that show I had on New Year's Eve, they actually took out like a huge advertising campaign, and it was me, Spinel, Obi, Major League DJs, like all the biggest DJs there. And there's these like taxi buses kind of thing. They're like the size of like a van, and they had pictures on the back of all of them, and there were literally thousands of these. And I think they went out early November, and they were still there when I left at the end of January. So my face was just all over the city. So I'd get in an Uber, and the guy would be like, "Oh, this guy looks like you," and I'm like, "Yeah, he looks like me, yeah." Like, and some people are like,
"You're like, it's my twin brother."
Yeah, very similar. Like. So I was like, when I walked out of the airport, like, we were on the billboard right there, and so yeah, my face definitely got around and stuff.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a crazy experience.
And doing the music production, I mean, you worked on a ton of music out there that, and I know that, you see that as your future. I know you're doing the live band thing, and you're figuring out a way that you can perform at these festivals and whatever you can get booked for. And that makes sense in terms of that. And the music production is another thing that you see for your future that's growing, and you're obviously working on it, and you were there for 2 months doing it. What was that like? I know you mentioned to me that you would do something like 3 songs in a session. You would decide, okay, I'm going to keep this one, and then the other person can use this one, or it was a way to make deals with everybody. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, like what the music production process was like?
Sure.
and your plans for it, and what you've done with the music, or what you're going to do with it?
Yeah, again, production stuff was another result of lockdown. I wanted to do it forever, but never had the time. And I was also scared because it's a daunting task. Like, I've been doing edits for 15 years, but there's a big difference between chopping up someone else's music and making your own, So I was waiting to have the time to sort of throw myself into that. And once I got into it, I realized it's not so bad. And like I say, I teamed up with some great like guitarists and other musicians and stuff that have helped me. But yeah, I definitely see that's the way forward for me now. Like, I feel like I've done pretty much everything I can do as a DJ. I don't really feel like it'd be more of the same. It'd be more festivals, more club shows, more, DJing for sports, whatever it is. I just feel like it can go to that next level with music production if you have a big record. So that's my main focus now. But yeah, it's like everything. I just threw myself into it head first, and there was definitely some moments where I got a bit ahead of myself because I've used my sort of 17 years or whatever it's been now DJing, the relationships that I have to leverage stuff in the production world, which maybe was a little bit premature. So like in December, I found myself at the house of one of the biggest artists over there, and I'd produced this song, recorded it with an artist that I know, but him and I have a really good relationship, so he's kind of happy to let me learn on the job with the vocal engineering side. Like when I'm in the UK, I had a vocal engineer doing everything up to that point, but there's just me trying to figure it out. So he recorded it, we did the song, and then the next morning he's like, I've sent it to my guy, he loves it, he wants you to come to his house and finish the song. So I was like, okay, cool. So he pulled up at his house, and the two artists say hi, and he's like, where's the producer? And he's like, that's him there. He's like, no, like where's the producer? Like, he's like, it's James. He's like, no, like where's the person who made the beat? And he's like, it's James. And he's like, what? He's like, no. He's like, come to my studio right now. So we go upstairs, I'm playing some of my beats, and he was just like, no, like ran around the house, got all of his friends to like come running up, and they were in the room, and he's like, this Oyebo, like Oyebo is a white person. He's like, yo, this Oyebo, he made these beats like crazy. So he's like, right, I want to jump in it right now. So he just made me vocal engineer this track there and then, but I was so scared. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was in the situation where I was like, I might not get this opportunity again. So I was like, let me just focus on getting like a clean recording. But then he was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do the crowd vocal thing, right? You're okay to do that? And I was like, like this. And like I had my videographer with me, and he was filming me from the side. You can just see my face drop, and I'm just there like this the whole time, like chewing gum at like 100 miles an hour, like so nervous. And it was but when I got back, I was like, damn, I need to focus on this stuff. So this last sort of 6 months, I've been really focused on the vocal engineering side, so that I don't put myself in that position again this December. But yeah, and in terms of that, like you say, I like to come with a lot of options for the artist, do one that's, you know, regular for them, and then try and get one out of their comfort zone. And then we have that discussion of, okay, I think this one's perfect for you to release with me as a producer, and then this one's perfect as like a DJames featuring you kind of DJ single that I can push. So I tend to take the more clubby one, they tend to take the more artsy kind of different one. So and that works out perfectly for me as well, now that I'm trying to let everyone know that I can produce, to have all that sort of variety out there, not just, you know, 50 Amapiano club beats. It's good that we have like dancehall influence stuff and some, you know, more like UK Afro swing vibes, typical Afro pop. We have a mixture of everything. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do, really, just cover all bases.
Right. That's so cool. How are you, well, what are you producing in like your program, and then how are you approaching it and getting the sounds and making the beats and the grooves and, you know, and drum patterns? Like, what's your process?
So Ableton, just because I've been using that my whole life, so it was just a natural thing to carry on. Like every other DAW looks alien to me at this point. I know Ableton's kind of the odd one out in terms of workflow, but like I just don't get on with Logic and stuff. But FL Studio or Fruity Loops is huge in Nigeria, and a lot of the sounds come from it. So if you want to get that, like I don't want to sound like other producers, I want to copy them, but there are definitely some elements sonically that you need in there for that familiarity. If you want to make the artists comfortable, if you're trying to take them out of their comfort zone a little bit, you can't just give them 100% new elements. So I basically had to get FL Studio and route it into Ableton so that we can use some of the presets. So like in Amapiano, there's certain bass sounds that you hear in every song. There's certain, like the log drum, it comes from the DX10 VST that's only in FL. There are like kind of other versions you can get for stuff, but the original is in there with the most sort of control. So yeah, that's what I do. I route FL through Ableton now. And the production always starts with drums, because Afrobeats, more than any other genre, is very percussion and drum driven. Like you can have songs where like melodically there's not a lot going on, but the drums like carry the track so much. And there's amazing producers like SARS and who produced Mona Lisa, and P Prime, who the drums are just so crazy. You could just have drums and a vocal and it'd be a great song. Everything else is just extra. You know, they add so much. I like producers where it's not just an 8-bar loop for the whole track. Like every 8 you're getting something new, and then something comes out and something else comes in, and that's very much like how Afrobeats production is. So yeah, we always start with the drums, and then I call in my guys depending on what kind of vibe we're on. Sometimes we start with bass, sometimes we start with guitar. It just depends who's feeling creative on the day. And I think that's the great thing about working with a lot of people. You're never really going to get writer's block, because someone always has an idea, and then once the initial chords are down, or once the initial guitar part is down, everyone else will all of a sudden like, okay, cool, I have something, and we sort of go from there. So
right.
Yeah.
So it's mainly live instrumentation over the drums that you're getting from FL Studio mostly, and then routing it into Ableton to sort of record what you've done in FL Studio.
Yeah, the FL stuff's more for the synths and the VSTs, because like the presets for like the more electronic sounds you hear in my piano, it's called like the UFO. I'm not going to do a bad impression of it, but there's like these weird sounds you get in AMA that are they're all come from FL. So the drums I do in Ableton, I'm weird. I work in audio just because I'm used to it rather than MIDI. So it's just samples that I've collected from swapping with other producers or Splice or whatever. And then it's a mixture of live stuff and VSTs depending on what kind of vibe we're going for. If it's Afro pop, then it's very much instrument led. Whereas the Mapiano stuff's like a lot more electronic. It's just dance music at the end of the day. So,
yeah.
So
right. It's like almost just like how house music is, but slowed down with different instruments, not the one beat the whole time. You know, it's almost like an invisible beat. Like that's why people are dancing like to the offbeat with it or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so dope, man. Well, I'm so happy that you're getting into that production thing. You obviously have the ear for it. You've got the drive for it, you know, the inspiration. So I love what I've heard so far. I can only imagine what you've been working on and what's coming, you know, and I think what you're doing with the live band is just genius and
Thank you.
Different from everybody else. And that's how you've approached everything, is just, like I said in the beginning, just your own style of it, you know, but not too different. And I was saying that to you before. I think I heard like Virgil Abloh talking about being a great designer and not changing too much, like keeping the core elements, but then changing small amounts. And that's kind of been your point to everything you've been saying this whole interview, I think, and even how you're approaching the music. Like, you can't give them something too new. You have to make them feel comfortable, but then give it your own angle. And I think that's really cool, you know. And I know a lot of producers from out there can do more of the like DJ Khaled style or you know, style of a traditional producer where they're bringing everyone together and they're making their vision come to life. But you're focused on, you know, you're able to do that, but also learn the technical abilities of making the music and then like even the recording of the voice and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a control freak, so
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I kind of have to. I like anything technical, and I like being challenged. So it was always going to happen. I wouldn't feel comfortable sitting here having someone else make my beats for me, and then someone else engineer my vocals. Like I want to be able to do everything. So I'm learning to play keys now because I want to be able to play. Like on the live show, I played some log drum live, just using the XP2 as a sampler. But long term, I want to play more keys and just be more involved. Really, as much as I'm MD in this, I am still, you know, supposed to be the artist in this whole thing. So I can't just be stood there for an hour while everyone else is like playing, like going crazy on the guitar or whatever, and I'm just stood there like bopping along while the vocal plays. Like I want to be a lot more involved. So yeah, we're building.
You should look at Incubus, you know, DJ Kilmore from Incubus. I feel like he's always been the DJ of their band, and he's like grown his setup to this insane thing that surrounds him with like keyboards and the DJ setup, and like he's able to like do a scratch solo, then do the keyboards, then add these things, then do percussion, and like that could be a cool, you know, thing to spark your inspiration to look at. And he was on the show and was explaining it to me, and I got to go check it out in person, and so dope. And I think that's been, you know, I think that's his role in the group too. You don't want to just do the one thing, and now he has all these amazing keyboards and different sounds and different things he can add. So yeah, that's dope.
That's amazing. I need to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah, you should for sure. He's super cool. I mean, I got to meet him, and we actually got to test out that new Pioneer turntable, the Cross 12 that just came out. We got to kind of be part of the production process and testing and all that stuff, and oh man, it came out so dope. You can control Serato with it, but also use real vinyl. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so what about something we have not talked about that is very important and is partially the reason why we're here is Beatsource, DJcity, and your work with the curation of that type of African music within DJcity and Beatsource. I mean, honestly, you're a huge reason and helping factor of why DJs are playing African music worldwide. I think, especially people that are part of the DJcity community and the Beatsource community, and your curation is amazing. Like, you're always so up on top of everything. The edits you make are super tasteful and dope. And whenever anybody asks me, like, yo, where do you get African music? I'm a piano, Afrobeats, Afro house, Afro pop. I'm like, go to DJcity, look up DJames, look up his own edits, all that stuff, So, and then they always go, really? And then thank me profusely later. So
thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, so I think that and you were so up on it. Like, you've been doing it before anybody even cared about it, in a way here, not there. But I think in America, we're like first on some stuff and we're way behind on other stuff. And so I think that, you were always pushing that stuff. And like we talked about when we met, you were into it, and it's only gotten crazier from there. And Beatsource has grown so much, and their African section, and same with DJcity. And I like how their site is now revamped, where I can search each genre, subgenre, do it by date, do it by popularity. I do that a lot just to kind of see what's going on. I know that the charts in probably America don't relate to even what UK is big Afrobeats, and then especially Ghana, Nigeria, where it's really coming from. But it's still cool to be able to look into that. But even when you were saying those bottle service songs, I'm like, ooh, I need to look up that second song you said. I'm like, I don't even think I know that song. And you're saying it's a huge song for the summer. So I gotta get on that. But do you want to talk about kind of how that came about and what you do in that role?
Yeah, for sure. That's another case of like just doing the work and figuring it out later, because when I started making edits sort of 15 years ago, I could never envisage that I'd have this role now, and same way I could never have pictured Afrobeats being this big, and the Beatsource as a company, like, it still blows my mind that we can have these officially licensed edits and stuff like that. To me, same with the official mixtape on Apple. Like, I never thought I'd see the day that all that stuff would be legit, and it's amazing for the artists as well, because it means I can financially support them as well as just playing their music now. Like, everyone gets paid.
Incredible.
But yeah.
Yes, sir.
Give me yes, sir.
That
deserves a
wow.
Okay.
You got that out of your system now, yeah? Okay.
I'm back to the buttons, baby. Okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to throw you off, but yeah, cool. So tell us about like your Beatsource curation, DJcity curation.
Yeah, so
the
DJcity thing started because I started something called Crates by DJames, where I was giving out edit packs, and I gave out 2,000 in a year, and I built up like a really big following in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah. These are like mashups, hype edits, all this kind of stuff. Before that, I was just doing intros and quick hitters, and that built to the point where they, I think Play hit me up and was like, yo, do you want to do edits for DJcity? Like, to see that everyone's using your stuff. And so I started doing that, but it was like all genres. I was in hip hop, R&B, everything back then. And then this role as, it started out doing more dancehall and reggae, because that was, I think, around 2015. That was, more popular with the American user base for sure. And just commercially as well, had all the big songs, Charlie Black and Conscience and all this other stuff up until sort of 2017, 2018. So I started out doing that. But when we first started, we had like no dancehall or Afrobeats on the site. So I was only allowed to send like a very select amount, and I had to basically explain why we needed each one and put people on. But, back then I was saying, oh yeah, this song is popping in Jamaica right now, or this song's popping in Nigeria. Like, it has 1 million views on YouTube. And then, the Latin songs would have like 1 billion. So I was like, my measuring stick for a hit was, I couldn't really like validate it with YouTube views and stuff. It was never going to wow anybody in America. But I just knew that it was culturally relevant and we needed to improve on it. So yeah, I built up the trust over time to the point where I didn't have to sort of, give explanations or have any sort of quota. And then, the sound's just taken off, the demand's grown and just growing with it. I mean, I still don't upload everything. My role is to see what's bubbling in Nigeria and present it to our audience at the right time. It's not about just giving it on release day, because something can blow up 6 months later and they've missed it by then. So
Right.
I try to with the edits, I try to focus on giving people different ways of playing the same song, like I said earlier, because we're all ultimately stuck playing the same stuff when it comes to commercial clubs a lot of the time. So it's fun to have different ways of bringing the same song in rather than having 1,000 songs that nobody knows. So that was what I kind of focused on. And then then the Beatsource thing came about so 3.5, 4 years ago now, I think. They said, we're setting up this new company. There's a Caribbean and African role. Obviously I was already doing that job for DJcity, and it snowballed, and it's one of those things I could never have planned for. But thinking about my skill set is kind of perfect. It's like the culmination of everything, because I was working on Capital Extra here, like one of the biggest radio stations, and I was producing the dancehall reggae show for like 3 years. So I was building that relationships with the artists and the producers and stuff through that. I was working on my own stuff, but then, like I say, with my DJ sets, I was facing a bit of an uphill battle to actually play the music I liked. And so like for years I was spinning all these different plates, but nothing was like really coming together. And I'd say sort of around the time of the Beatsource stuff, it's like everything finally started to make sense. Like, okay, now my radio experience comes in. I did the DJames radio thing, and I knew how to do that because I've been observing Raz Kwame, who's like one of the veteran broadcaster here. And then just the demand came at the perfect time. I had the skill set in terms of the editing, and I had the network in terms of the artists and the labels because of my radio stuff and Capital Extra. So it's been great. It's a dream job for me. I get to keep on top of the music. I get to talk to my favorite artists every day. It's great.
That's huge. And you do such a great job, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But how do you stay on top of like finding the Afrobeats music? I know you're in that scene and that's how it goes, but like, do you have any places you check or any other, how do you stay on top of that music? And then what are some of the artists coming up that you think we should know about?
Okay. I'm pretty fortunate now that people tend to come to me with the music, like way too much. I can't even keep up with it, but so I have to try and sift through it. It used to be
right.
I just check blogs. Like, blogs are still a huge thing in Nigeria, especially. So they have music blogs. I just used to go through and I'd listen to every single song. It didn't matter if it had the worst album art and I never heard of them. I'd listen to everything. Especially when I was doing the radio show. That's why it was taking so long, 2 or 3 days of going through stuff. So it was blogs, it was YouTube trending, it was social media. Obviously, if dance trends just start to pop off, you notice. And now Instagram is my biggest tool, really, because I'll spend hours on like a Thursday and a Friday just going through my feed, like hundreds and thousands of posts, just seeing who's posting cover art, who's announcing a new single, who's announcing a new album. And I just save stuff constantly. Then for Beatsource, I add it to our new release sheet and keep on top of it, make sure we've got it, make sure I have edits. And then I have to bother all the producers and engineers for the instrumental and a cappella, and they'll hate me, but it's just part of it. So it's a mixture. Obviously, if it's a big artist, I'm going to know about it. If it's sort of a B or a C list kind of level artist, they sort of tend to come to me because they know what I'm doing now and I have the platform. So it's a lot of like, I have these site, I think one's called like Pop Noble or something. It's a site that basically tracks the amount of views per day for songs released in the last year. So I use stuff like that where like, so I'll check like the most viewed videos in Jamaica this year, and anything I don't recognize, I just tab, open it. Sometimes it'll be like 30 I haven't checked, and I'll watch it, see if it's suitable, see if it looks like the legit views or not, obviously, because there's a lot of that going on. But I'll check, do the likes add up? Do the comments add up? And then I'll check the social media and see what the presence is like. And some of them, I'll download them and I'll just park them up for a while and just be like, I'll come back to this in a couple of weeks and see what's happening. Or some of them, like, okay, we need to have this right now. So there's a whole system. It's not just like this haphazard, just like throw in loads of Afrobeats and dancehall on the site. It takes a lot of work to keep on top of this.
Yeah, no, that attention to details, like next level. That's super dope. What's that site? Pop Noble, you said?
Yeah, I think so. I can even check right now. I have like a bunch of different ones. Yeah, Pop Nable.
And when you say views, what is
Nable,
it?
like POPNABLE. So I have it bookmarked for the Jamaican one. I think they do like all different charts, but it's just like.
And is it mainly based on YouTube?
That one is, yes. It's just like YouTube views, but YouTube's like one of the biggest things out there. Like it was the same with like Nigeria, and you just got Spotify a few years ago, so their user base is relatively small. Apple Music's not particularly big. They have these what's called freemium services like AudioMac and Deezer and stuff, and Boomplay, where it's free to listen, but you have adverts and then you can pay. But so YouTube metrics are pretty important in those markets, because a lot of people still use it as their number one source to sort of consume music. So yeah, I use that data a lot.
Right. Nice. And then what about like, because, we talked a little bit about you growing virally and posting these videos, and we talked about Instagram so much, but I know TikTok is a huge part of it. Like, is TikTok still a big part of your life, and like what's the difference between the two? How much time do you spend on each one respectively?
I try not to spend any time on that platform, because obviously it's designed to be addictive. Like, what it's like, even when I post my video, I literally, as soon as it hits upload, it takes like 30 seconds. I pause the video that's open, because I know if that starts playing, I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's like bam, bam. Like, and before I know it, half an hour's gone by. So yeah, I tend not to spend any time on there, because the thing is, I don't really need to sort of watch trends or anything on that. I'm not really doing that sort of content where I'm needing to keep on top of what's current. I have my own thing, which is just DJing on a white wall. It's very simple. It's not changed for 3 years. So like, I'm not really trying to watch the market like that. But yeah, TikTok was huge for me. It's a strange platform because it goes in like huge bumps. It doesn't tend to be like a very steady growth. You'll just have like one video will pop off and do like 500,000 views or something. You'll get 10K followers. And then your next one might do 400 views. And it's quite disheartening, because you think like, yeah, I've cracked it. And then the next one does nothing. I've seen that a lot of people have come to me and asked like how to sort of do it. And I see them do sort of 4 or 5 videos and none of them works. They give up. And you can't do that. Like some of these top guys, they'll, not only will they do 5 different videos, they'll repost the same video 5 times, because sometimes it just hits the algorithm differently. Posting at different times of day, like that first sort of 5 or 10 minutes, whatever sort of engagement it gets is really important to TikTok deciding whether it's going to push your content or not. So I just try to flood it with as much content as possible, but I can't keep up with these professional content creators, man. These guys are doing it three videos a day sometimes. Like, I don't have time.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. So,
but what about, does one have more of an impact on your career or musically or anything Instagram, at all, or are they equal?
Instagram for sure, because the Instagram following, it's like built and it's stayed, whereas the TikTok following is actually bigger somehow. It sort of overtook Instagram in like 6 months, but I don't know anybody on there. It's just like thousands of people, and I don't really have much engagement. I try to reply, but whereas Instagram, it feels like a community. I feel like I've seen it grow over time, so I know the people that have joined me at certain points in my career. Like the people that follow me for Red Bull 3 Star might not necessarily like what I'm doing now, but fortunately I'd say that I've gained sort of 90% of my following in the last year or so. So most people that follow me are very engaged in what I'm doing currently. So I think that's another thing where I'm quite lucky as well, because with music, I think as you get older, it's harder to sort of relate to the music that 18-year-olds listening to, right? Like I know now, like I don't like hip hop as much as I did 10 years ago, and doesn't mean it's better or worse. It just means that it's different and it's not my hip hop. Like the same way there was guys barking at me when I was listening to 2000s, like this isn't 90s, this isn't. So I don't want to become that guy.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me right now, I love the same Afrobeats that 18 and 19-year-olds love, and that's a huge part of me being successful, because I think if I was having to force it, this would be impossible. Honestly, the amount of work it is, like, that's kind of why I had to get out of all the open format stuff. I didn't enjoy keeping up with all the music and stuff. It was really difficult. Whereas with this, if I wasn't doing that, I'd be listening to it anyway. So yeah, it's worked out okay.
Right. And like, speaking of your open format, you know, back in the day type of career, I know you definitely did a lot of dope gigs in that type of world. You know, I know you played for I think it was the first Major League Baseball game in Europe, or one. Was it the first?
It was the first ever.
Okay.
Yeah. The Yankees and the Red Sox.
And so Yankees and Reds. Oh, that's like the ultimate rivalry. What? So can you tell us about that? What was that like?
Well, first of all, shout out to Tony Perry for that one, my friend. He's like the guy.
Shout to Tony Perry. That's
legend.
Yeah. Tony Perry.
All of the sound effects for him. Yeah.
I thought I had a button that said "shaboy," but I guess not.
Just don't. You end up pressing the wrong one. So he helped me.
Yes, sir. Tony Perry.
You know the fucking vibes.
We'll send it in this clip.
But yeah, shout to Tony Perry. He's the ultimate. He was on this podcast. So dope.
Yeah, check that one out. Very nice guy. One of my best friends in the industry. Like, just and he's the king of that sports stuff over here and the corporate stuff. And he's the one that got me involved. He couldn't do both days, so he put me on. And it was a crazy experience. I'd never done anything like that before as well, because it was being broadcast on TV, so it was being run to a whole different clock to anything live that we were doing in that stadium. And also the fact that it was the first game there and there were so many casual fans who just wanted to go for a day out with the kids who had no idea what the rules were. In all the breaks, they were having to show these like 2.5 minute VTs on the screen to explain the rules. And so like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was told I was going to get like 15 little 3-minute sets or something. So I prepared all these dope like routines where I'd start with like an acapella, or I'd have like a wordplay that kicked in maybe after 20 or 30 seconds. Some of my sets were like 15 seconds long. So I didn't even get
15 seconds.
Yeah, because they'd say, oh yeah, we have 2 minutes 45 TV break, and we have a 2-minute 30 VT, and you're going to fill the remaining 15 seconds. So they'd literally be like, I had these monitors, and they'd be like, okay, James, and you're on in 3, 2, 1. I'd be like, boom, play my song. And James, you're off in 3, 2. And I'd be like, no, I didn't get to do the thing. Like, so I was literally there, like on Ableton, remaking my routines, like while the game was going on. Because I was like, damn, I need to land the punch within 10 seconds somehow. So I was literally just like chopping everything down as short as possible, to the point it was just, it was crazy. And then I know nothing about baseball. I'm not gonna pretend I do, but I know there were certain points where like they were like on different bases, and it could have been that everyone could have gone out at that moment, or they could have all got through and the inning could have carried on for like another however many minutes. So I didn't know when I could go to the toilet. I didn't know when I could take a break or anything, because like sometimes it was like over in a few minutes, sometimes it'd take 20 minutes. So it was impossible. I was just glued to this thing for like 8 hours. But really I must have DJed for like a combined total of like 4 minutes, but I was there the whole day and was scared to move. I had to like send someone to get me drinks, ice cream, like I was just there, like, but yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was like 65,000 people at London Stadium, so it's definitely the biggest crowd that I've got to DJ for, even if it was.
That's amazing.
Micro sets, but yeah, that was crazy. Right. And then I had something similar again that Tony hooked up. Where I DJed in Saudi Arabia for this thing called Diraya Season, where they do like these big sporting events. So they had the Formula One, they had the boxing the day before. And literally overnight, the boxing must have finished at like 11 p.m. And by the morning, they'd converted the boxing arena into a tennis court. And this arena, like basically they designed it so that it was in the middle of the desert. Honestly, like my driver just dropped me off on the road and I just had to like walk across the sand. Like it was crazy. It was in the middle of nowhere. They just put this structure up, and I swear, like the outside of it was like wallpaper and staples. It looked like a strong wind would blow the arena over, because like as soon as it's done, they were just going to tear it down. But obviously the money there is unlimited. So they had the tennis tournament itself, and then at night they'd have artists coming out and performing. And like the day I was there, they had Major Lazer, Calvin Harris. They had on the Friday that I was leaving, they had like Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne. They like, it was just insane levels of artists. But yeah, the tennis tournament itself, like I had to have all the music approved by the royal family for some reason. So the Crown Prince was there, and he did like a little showcase match with one of the players and stuff. So everything had to be approved. So I put together this list of like 250 songs, and I think by the time they'd gone through it, I was left with like 12. And I'd put stuff on there that was like I thought was super safe, like the most bubblegum pop you could think of, like stadium anthems kind of thing, just easygoing music. And for whatever reason, they didn't want any Dua Lipa or Ed Sheeran or anything like commercial. So yeah, I had to play like 3 sets a day, and they were sort of 15-20 minute sets, and I only had 12 songs to do it with that were approved. And then after the first couple of sets, the guy that was controlling the music for like when the players come out or when they get an ace or something, they would play like a little stinger, like a few seconds. He started stealing my songs because he's like, oh, that one worked well. So he took the song. Oh, wow. So then my list of 12 went down to like 8. So by like the second day, I was like, I have no music left. So I had to like start throwing in some sort of instrumental like house songs like from back in the day, just to not get in trouble. But yeah, that was another crazy experience.
Oh my God. Was there any reasoning of why they cut them out? Did they tell you, or they're just like,
yeah, I wasn't about to ask. I was just I just did my job. And
you're like, can you give me a full breakdown on the problem?
What's your problem with Ed,
these?
man? Yeah, well, I do.
Ed Sheeran.
I wasn't about to argue. So I just played my 8 songs and made it home safe. So it's all good.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They're like, Ed turned down $1 billion. We're not.
Yeah, honestly, I'd love to know what it was, because in my mind they were the safest, most inoffensive people ever. I don't know what all those artists did, but that was interesting for sure.
Right. Don't ask. Do your job and get home safely, basically. Oh wow, that's crazy. Wow, that's amazing, man. I mean, we've learned a lot here. I feel like we've covered so many bases. Is there anything else that we've maybe missed out on that you want to highlight, or that things that you have coming up, or stuff like that? I can shamelessly plug my music, I guess. I just released my first. Yeah, please. No.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to tell you before I was rabbiting on so much. I didn't actually get to mention the artists to kind of watch out for, because there are definitely a bunch of artists that I work with.
We forgot
so
about
much.
that part. Yeah, please tell us about the artists just in the African music scene that you see as people should look out for, as well as artists that you're working with, and what's going on for the future in your career.
Yeah, for sure. So I just released an EP called Boundaries with an artist called Famous, spelled PH. He's with Empire. It's like an Afro R&B kind of thing. You can get that on Beatsource with edits, of course. So go check it out, guys. Get streaming.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a double plug there.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I can't really reveal everything, but I've got some big names coming on my project for next year. Very lucky with the level of artists that I'm getting to work with at this early stage in my production career. But yeah, there's some guys that I feel like will definitely do a big year for sure. Alva P, I had a song with him a couple of years back, and he's just an amazing artist. He's got so much music sitting there. I'm hoping this is finally the year they get to unleash him on the world. Crayon, another one. He's signed to Blowtime, which is a partnership with Maven, which is the record label that have Rema and Ira Star, run by Don Jazzy, who's like one of the greatest minds in music, period. So I think Crayon's set for a big year. He just dropped his album. He's really dope. There's a lot of Black Bones. If you guys want to learn anything about how to market a record, Black Bones is a genius with that stuff. Like, he's so funny, so charismatic, and he's just got this talent for like promoting his record without you even realizing that he's promoting the record, because you're so engrossed in all the other antics that are going on that you forget that his song's like now stuck in your head. And that's so valuable. If obviously, like, you know, you can't compete with the labels when it comes to like the big budget stuff. So having something like that is amazing, which is a creative brain. Some of my favorite artists, Lo J, I think is incredible. Obviously, he's famous for Mona Lisa, but his music just generally is unreal. He's definitely like an artist right now, where they all know he's like a generational talent kind of thing, but he just hasn't quite gone global yet. Like, I feel like he could. Victoni,
he's on the way.
Sure,
he's on that new Spinall's new single, I think, right?
Yeah, got Lo J. No, that's the song is Lo Ju. You're thinking, I think, the WizKid song.
Oh, yeah.
That's the title.
I'm an idiot. All right, that's.
You try it.
That's. I'll give this to me.
I was waiting for you to use that one. Okay.
That's why it's used it on myself. Sorry about that, guys.
There's Victoni, that Soweto remix has gone crazy right now with Don Toliver and Rema as well. So Victoni is another one.
Oh yeah.
He has a really big single about to drop as well. I have some music with him that I'm really excited about. Just incredible artist to work with. There's loads. I mean, definitely check out the Beatsource playlist. I have like Nigeria's Rising Stars as a playlist on there, which I update every few months. And there's so many amazing female artists right now as well that definitely don't get the recognition they should, just because of the way that the industry's kind of been set up over there for so long. You've seen it again recently with the Headies, which is like the biggest awards for Afrobeats. They didn't even air the best female winner. Ira Star won it, but they didn't actually put it on the main show. Really? Yeah, it's such a shame, man. So there's a lot of amazing female talent, like Ira, for example. Obviously, she's huge now. There's Ray Bell, who I have a record with, come in. Bloody Civilian, she's a young artist who just produced her own EP and sang and wrote everything. Like, there's so much incredible talent over there. So I think obviously the labels are starting to realize this now. You've got all the majors are now set up over there. Universal, Sony, Warner, they're all coming to town. So I think it's just a matter of time before all these guys are global superstars, hopefully. And fingers crossed I get to be a small part of it still. So, yeah.
I foresee that happening. Yeah. No, you're doing it, man. You're doing all the right things and doing stuff for the right reasons, and I'm super excited for what's to come for you in the next few months, few years, and all that.
Thank you, man. But yeah, there's too many to list for sure. So just go check out all the Beatsource playlists, because I do really consciously try to give everyone a fair chance on there. Like, if I feel like, we have like the Afro pop playlist and the essential edits where like the must play. Yeah. But I was very conscious to create a lot of playlists like the Rising Stars and the Afrobeats brunch and fresh Afrobeats, all these kind of playlists. And the same for dancehall as well, where I just have somewhere where I can put all the new music so people can dig, and I try to do edits for all of them if I can physically manage it in the week. So yeah, check them out.
Right. Oh yeah. No, you do a great job on there. Amazing. Is there any other things you want to talk about that you have coming that you can speak about? Or we kind of covered it?
I think that's it really. Just hopefully trying to put out another single before the end of the year, heading back out to Nigeria at the end of this month to hopefully finish my EP. Oh. Yeah, heading back out in a few weeks. And then I'll be there again in December. And then going to go to Ghana as well. Try and spend a bit more of a prolonged period there this time. A lot of times it's been in and out, like one day for the gig kind of thing. And Ghana's beautiful, so I want to spend more time there and build up my network and stuff. The big one next year is my US tour. I need to come to the US and do it properly. That's been on my list for so long, you know. So that's the plan.
That's great, man. Well, can't wait till you're in the US. We can do a part 2 in person in this room or something and hang out. I'm sure you'll be doing some dope gigs. I know it's crazy, the whole visa process. You were explaining it to me. It's sounds like
it's intense.
Hell.
Yeah, they don't want us to come as DJs, I don't think. But I'll make it happen somehow. I'll figure it out. I'll be there next year. For sure. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on the show, taking the time. I know we were trying to make this happen, but I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you and learning about all this stuff. And just like I said in the beginning and throughout, like, you know, I got so much respect for you and what you do and what you're doing. And, you're a big help to me as just like going through all the stuff that, like all that work that you put in to curate these playlists and curate these edits and all the things you put out. It helps me and then leads me down rabbit holes of looking up all this stuff. And I love all this music so much too. And so thank you for being the connector of all that stuff. And thank you for just, adding value and adding stuff to the DJ culture, the music culture, and the global music scene, man. You're really doing it. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, you got any last words or things you want to say to the DJs out there?
Well, if you managed to put up with me for this long and you're still listening, then you can find me on all platforms at DJames Kick It. So yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone that's if you're interested in Afrobeats dancehall, you want to learn more, you want to know about the platform, anything. Yeah, reach out. I'd love to connect. And Thanks again for having me, man. Really enjoyed talking to you. You're a very busy guy yourself, so it's always nice to have a chat.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, yeah, thank you, and I will hopefully see you soon. We'll be in some same country soon, I hope.
Fingers crossed, man. All right, thank you. Take care.
All right, talk to you soon. All right, peace. All right, thank you to DJames for coming on the show, taking that time. I know it was pretty late out there, so I really appreciate him taking the time to tell us about his journey in this thing called DJing and this thing called music. The dope dude right there. Really cool person, really genuine, super talented. So thank you to DJames for coming on this. And thank you, the Beat Sorcerers. We wouldn't be doing this without you. All you listeners, we're doing this together. I really appreciate everything you guys bring to the table. Thank you for doing this with us. And you can find us everywhere. You can watch our show on YouTube. You can listen to us on Apple. You can listen to us on Spotify. We're everywhere podcasts are found. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandma. Let people know. Spread the word, okay? And then we can keep doing this. The 20 podcast is produced by Beatsource. Join us next week for more interviews as we discuss music that matters to DJs. I'm DJ Spider signing off. Peace.